नमस्सर्वेभ्यः। अद्य तिङन्तप्रक्रियायां 20 पाठः, डिसेम्बर् मासस्य 14 दिनाङ्कः। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। अद्य भादिगणस्य रूपसिद्धिं पठामः। ततः पूर्वं गतसप्ताहस्य अभ्यासाः. I know, I put up the exercise quite late last week. I guess everybody got just 2 or 3 days. But people actually able to do the exercise in this time. If not, maybe we can discuss that in the next class. And just how many people are ready today? Oh, good. Quite a few people have done it, but there are a few who have done it partly, and I know would like to go through it themselves before we discuss it. So let us discuss this exercise in the next class, because anyway there is no exercise for this class, at least no written exercise. So we will discuss this exercise in the next class. Please do it, because it's a very, very important exercise. To get the hang of that order of applying things. As we go on, we don't actually stick to this order. We study mainly the 3 steps: Angakarya, Pratyaya Nirmana, and there are 2 Angakaryas. So to have this order in mind always, please try to do this exercise. Okay. So it's also a big revision for what we have done so far, which is the foundation. Even though we are actually starting the Bhadigana today, without what we have done so far, you cannot do much progress with that. Okay, so we'll start with this Bhadiganaha Dhatupathasya Prathamaha Ganaha. Yatha vayam janimah Paniniya Dhatupathe Dasha Ganaha Santi. Tatra Prathamaha Ganaha Bhadiganaha. तत्र धातुपाठे प्रथमः धातुः अस्ति भू सत्तायाम् इति। अन्तिमः धातुः टु ओष्वि गतिवृद्ध्योः इति। यथा वयं पूर्वमेव ज्ञातवन्तः, धातुपाठस्य क्रमः निश्चितः नास्ति. इट्स् नाट् इन् एनी पर्टिक्युलर् आर्डर्, किन्तु मुख्यतया स्वराधारेण इत् सम्यकस्य स्वरस्य तथा विद्यमानस्य स्वरस्य आधारेण भवति. यथा अनुदात्तेतः उदात्तेतः स्वरितेतः इति। इत्सम्यकस्य वर्णस्य लोपानन्तरं यः वर्णः शिष्यते तस्य स्वराधारेणापि धातुपाठः विभज्यते. प्रायः सहस्राधिकं 10 धातवः, सहस्रोत्तरं 10 धातवः सन्ति. सिद्धान्तकौमुदी क्रमेण 1010 is the number of dhatus in the Bhadigana. So it is more than 50% of the total dhatus. The total of number of dhatus is around 19 something, 1962 or something like that in the Kaumudi. So of that, 1010 belong to the Bhadigana. Pathantaram tu bahudha asti dhatupathasya. So if you take all pathantaras, there are around 1200 dhatus which are said to belong to the Bhadigana. So we will have a look at the dhatu patha. I mean, there are several versions of dhatu pathas. Okay, so uh, um, each version of the dhatu patha is different. I mean, their objective is also different. Say some dhatu pathas, they just give the krama of the dhatu patha. So there are pathantaras. Some of them mention the pathantaras, some of them don't. There are some dhatu pathas available which have the swara markings. There is one, I think I put it up for download in the site. It's a PDF which I got from Sanskrit documents, which has the swara markings. The swaras are important for everything. As we know, the swara of the itsamya, itsamyakasya varnasya swaradharena parasmaipadam atmanepadam ubhayapadam iti nirniyate. Anudattangita atmanepadam स्वरितन्यतः कर्तृभिप्राये क्रियाफले शेषात् कर्तरि परस्मैपदम् इत्यनेन इत्संज्ञकस्य वर्णस्य स्वराधारेण पदव्यवस्था निर्णीयते विद्यमानस्य अचः स्वराधारेण यथा एध इति धातुः अस्ति एध इत्यत्र अकारः अनुदात्तः इत्संज्ञकः अनुदात्तत्वात् सः धातुः आत्मनेपदी एकारः अस्ति सः कीदृशः इत्यपि प्रश्नः अस्ति सः उदात्तः वा अनुदात्तः वा स्वरितः वा इति तत्र यदि सः अनुदात्तः तर्हि तेन इट्त्वं सेट् अनिट् वेट् इत्यादि निर्णये तस्य उपयोगः भवति ये धातवः अनिटः अर्थात् यत्र विद्यमानः अच् अनिट् अनुदात्तः भवति ते धातवः अनिटः. So those which have an anudatta swara remaining, I mean not the one which goes by itsamya, the remaining swara, if it is anudatta, they are anit dhatus. So this is that is why the swara is also rather important in the dhatu patha. So there is one Excel which I have prepared, I mean this was for my reference. So this has all the dhatus. The main dhatu patha which I took for reference was the one from Sanskrit documents, which has the PDF is already there. So this is a workable format of that dhatu patha. So you have all the, I think around 1000 the dhatus which I mentioned, 1190. I think so. 87, 38. Sorry, 92. 1192 is the number of dhatus here. So as you can see, the first number is the number in the dhatu patha, the main or the original dhatu patha. So there will be some which don't have a number, which means it is not there in that dhatu patha. But they are considered in some other books like the Kaumudi or Pushpa Dikshit herself. She might have some of those. Okay. So there is also the numbering according to the Kaumudi, where you can, I mean, if you sort it according to the Kaumudi, you'll get it in the Kaumudi order, which is pretty much the same as the Dhatu Patha order, except that it has some Pathantaras in some cases, or it doesn't take some of the Dhatus which are in this Dhatu Patha. Okay. So there is also what is more important for us is how Pushpa Dikshit orders it. So as you can see, this is Bhu Edha Spartha, it is the order of the original Dhatu Patha. So Pushpa Dikshitayaha Dhatu Pathetu, the order changes. She starts with 2 Oshvi is 1168 in the Dhatu Patha number, but she puts it right at the beginning for the reasons of, obviously, for Prakriya, which is important for us. So there is the Dhatu, there is the meaning, so the Gana, the Pada, and Set, Anit or Wait. So we don't need to worry about the Set, Anit or Wait right now, because we are dealing with the Sarvadhatuka Prakriya and this does not matter. But once we go into Ardhadhatukas, it is probably the most important factor. What is the it property of the dhatu? Okay. So as you can see here, wherever you see an anudatta in the dhatu, they are all anit dhatus. That's just an indication. There are other things for it. It's a big prakarana by itself, but that is one general indication. So what is also here, what is important for us from the point of view of Prakriya is this. What is the dhatu? There are 13 different categories of dhatus. We studied the order of Pushpa Dikshit's dhatu patha. So she studies it under different headings. There is Adupadha, Anidit, Akaranta, Ikaranta, and so on. There are different categories. So all the categories are here and here. There are two columns. I mean, it doesn't matter in which. There are some which fall under two different categories. That is why they have two different columns. That's all. So there is also the antargana. Antargana is there in the dhatu patha itself. Say there is a ghatadi, there is a jwaladi, there is yajadi. Panini makes extensive use of the antarganas for different karyas. Okay, so in these you will find dhatus which belong to the different ganas. Okay, so the ganas have specific karyas. We will not look at them right now because I mean for the current prakriya there is no difference in whether it belongs to this. Yeah, each gana has a specific prayojana. So we will know that when we come to that part. Okay. So the major part of this is this vibhaga. Okay. So we'll see that today how it helps. So this is the Vadigana, around more than 1,000 dhatus. Okay. So once you have the dhatu patha, it doesn't matter if you, I mean, if a particular dhatu is there in a dhatu patha or not. If it is there, you will be able to know the forms. Okay. So if it has been used, you can easily derive them. You just have to identify which category it belongs to. So coming back. So vikaranaha, bhadiganaha, yatha sarvadhatuka prakaranam ityachyate. Sarvadhatuka lakareshu bahu mukhyam bhavati vikarana pratyayah. So before that, if there are questions. Sharma Mahodaya.
Shming dhatuhu parasmaipadi you have asked.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I did that deliberately. I was just trying to see if people actually notice the it samya. Shming, there is a ngit. So it's atmanepadi. I have asked a parasmaipada pratyaya. So it was just.
But there is a parasmaipadi also in my dhatpata with meaning anadare.
With what?
Shming anadare, parasmaipadi is there.
Shming cannot be parasmaipadi because ngit.
That I know, but it is given in the.
Is it? Surprising.
Ramlal Kapoor.
What is the number of the dhatu?
Number, it is in the Churadi.
Churadi. Churadi is, there is a different, it's a totally different vyavastha. Because it's, in the Churadi, as soon as you add nich, you have the possibility of both the padas, mostly. And in Churadi, there are some which tend to be only parasmay padas or only atmane padas. So that is a different vyavastha.
Okay, thank you.
So okay, so were there any questions which, yeah, I didn't, so there was one question initially, how do we listen to missed classes? I mean, all classes are available at sanskritfromhome.in. So if you just register and log in, you'll be able to see all the materials. Okay. So there's one more question, how to identify anit, sate and weight. As I said, it's not for this khanda. We'll do that in the next thing. So there are rules for sate, anit and weight. There was one more question on yena na prapte. We'll do that at the end of this class, please. Okay, so coming back to the bhadigana. Yatha vayam janimaha vikaranaha lakara nimittaha santi gana nimittaha santi tatra sarvadhatuka lakareshu sarvebhyaha dhatubhyaha gana nimittaha vikaranaha yujyante. साक्षात् तिङ् प्रत्ययस्य धातोः च मध्ये विकरणः सर्वदा भवत्येव सार्वधातुकलकारेषु. अतः आदौ प्रतिगणं विकरणः ज्ञातव्यः. भादिगणस्य विकरणः अस्ति शप्, कर्तरि शप् इति सूत्रेण. अयम् औत्सर्गिकः विकरणः. This sutra does not specify which gana. For everything, for all dhatus, कर्तृर्थे सार्वधातुके शप् विधीयते. ततः शपः अपवादत्वेन श्यन्नादयः विधीयन्ते. So they are all apavadas to shap. So wherever the apavada does not apply, we have shap operating. So kartari shap, kartari iti saptam ekavachanam, shap iti prathama ekavachanam, sarvadhatuke iti anuvartate, adhikaraha dhatoho pratyayah paraha adyadattaha iti adhikaraha, kartrarthe sarvadhatuke pare. कः अर्थः? जानीमः सार्वधातुकं तिङ् षित् तत्र तिङ् प्रत्ययस्य अर्थत्रयम् लः कर्मणि च भावे च अकर्मकेभ्यः लकाराः सकर्मकेभ्यः धातुभ्यः कर्तरि कर्मणि च स्युः अकर्मकेभ्यः भावे कर्तरि च. So a lakara or the ting can have three meanings: the karta, karma or bhava. कर्तृर्थे सार्वधातुके परे यत्र तिङ् प्रत्ययः कर्तारं बोधयति तादृशे सार्वधातुकसंज्ञके तिङ् प्रत्यये परे धातोः परः आद्युदात्तः शप् प्रत्ययः स्यात् इति सूत्रार्थः. भ्वादिगणे सर्वेभ्यः धातुभ्यः शप् इति विकरणः औत्सर्गिकः. There are a few dhatus which get a different vikarana. Okay, so we will study those in a special category at the end. So as a general rule, the vikarana for bhadigana is shap. Okay. Now what is to be noticed, once you add shap, yada shap pratyayah yojyate tada sarvani angani adantani bhavanti. All the angas of the bhadigana. So if you have pathu, pathu a becomes patha is hrasvakaranta. Adantam means hrasvakarantam. Atu taparastatkalasya ityanena atu ityanena hrasvaha akaraha grihyate. Hrasva akarantani angani. Okay, adantani. So patha a patha, khad a khada, bhu a becomes bhava. So that is also akaranta. Since a shap occurs at the border of the anga, it is actually the shap, the akara of shap, which directly meets the ting pratyaya. Okay. So ting pratyaya drishtya angam sarvada adantam bhavati. So that matters. What is the anga? Depending on the anga, we have the pratyayas varying. So bhadiganaha, bhadiganasya vikaranaha shap, shapi krite sarvani angani adantani bhavanti. Now, depending on the anga, angam anusritya pratyayasya nirmanam bhavati. So the pratyaya, as we know, sarveshu lakareshu ashtadasha ting pratyayaha eva vidhiyante. Kintu pratilakaram pratyayaha vidhyante. The pratyaya, the form of the pratyaya will change in each lakara. So that depends principally on the anga, on the lakara and the anga. Okay. In specific lakaras, for specific angas, the pratyaya will change. Okay. Now, assuming, since we know that all angas are adantas, the pratyayas will take specific forms. Pratyayasya nirmanam bhavati. So I am not doing the pratyaya nirmanam in detail right now. So we'll do that probably in the next class or the class after that. Okay, in 2 classes we'll come to that. But before that we'll see what are the pratyayas. What is the final form of the pratyayas. Hetu prayena parichitameva syat, parichitani etani rupani. Because this is what we actually see in the form, rather than the tip tas jhi, which is totally a shastrik thing. So these are the pratyayas which we actually hear in the forms. So adantadangat ting pratyayaha adu jnayante. So latlakaraha tatra parasmai pada pratyayaha bhavanti ti taha anti si thaha tha mi vaha maha. Atmanepade te ite ante se ithe dhve e vahe mahe. Ete eva pratyayaha latlakarasya pratyayaha. So these are lakara specific pratyayas. These are originally derived from tiptasjhi, sipthastha, mibvasmas, tatam jha, thasatham dhvam, idvahi mahi. So in some places they are quite recognizable, in some they might not. So there is atam and becomes ite. So there is a change. Okay. So as I said, the change depends on the lakara and depends on the anga. Idanim tu etan pratyayan siddharupena svikurmah. Tataha asya pratyayasya nirmanam katham. Tipaha arabhya katham te iti bhavati athava ti iti bhavati. Jhi ityarabhya katham anti iti bhavati ityadi agre pathama. So for now, please familiarize yourself with these pratyayas. So latlakarasya pratyayaha punaha pathami ti taha anti si thaha tha mi vaha maha. Atmanepade te ite ante se ithe dhve e vahe mahe. लोट् लकारे तु तात् रूपद्वयं भवति प्रथमपुरुष एकवचने ताम् antu. So there is one form where the pratyaya is not heard. Okay, you only hear the anga bhava, patha, likha, so on. So tat, tam, ta, ani, ava, ama. Atmanepade tam, itam, antam, sva, itham, dhvam, ai, avahai, amahai iti pratyayaha. Lang lakare t, tam, an, s, tam, ta, am, va, ma. Atmanepade ta, itam, anta, thaha, itham, dhvam, I, vahi, mahi. Vidhiling lakare it, itam, iyuhu, ihi, itam, ita, iyam, iva, ima. Atmanepade ita, iyatam, iran, ithaha, iyatham, idhvam, iya, ivahi, imahi. So we'll first see these four lakaras. We'll come to late lakara later, the sarvadhatuka late. Okay. So now there is angakarya. As I said, angakarya occurs at the border of the anga. Angasya pratyayasya pare. Pratyaye pare angasya kinchit karyam bhavati tadeva angakaryam. Atra sarvada pratyayadvayam bhavati. Ting pratyayah ekah, vikarana pratyayah ekah. Ting pratyaye pare vikarana sahitaha dhatuhu angam. The dhatu plus vikarana is the anga for the ting pratyaya. Vikaranasya tu kevalaha dhatuhu angam iti vyavastha. Ubhayatra angakaryam bhavati. Adau ting pratyaye pare kim angakaryam bhavati iti pashyamah. You have an adanta anga. Right? So there is pathu, there is a. Patha is the anga. Now this anga, when followed by the ting pratyaya, what is the angakarya which will happen? There can either be angakarya or sandhikarya which happens. So there is only one angakarya for an adanta anga. Adantasya angasya ekameva angakaryam bhavati ato dirgho yanyi iti sutram. Ataha iti shashthi ekavachanam, dirghaha iti prathama ekavachanam, yanyi iti saptami ekavachanam, sarvadhatuke iti anuvartate, angasya ityadhikaraha. So ataha angasya sarvadhatuke yanyi dirghaha iti sutrarthaha. Ataha angasya ityasti samanadhikarane ataha iti visheshanam angasya iti visheshyam yena vidhis tadantasya ityanena adantasya angasya. So an anga which ends in harasva akara. Adantasya angasya. Yani sarvadhatuke ityasti punaha samanadhikaranam. So yani iti visheshanam sarvadhatuke iti visheshyam. Atra yasmin vidhis tadadau al-grahane. So it is an exception to yena vidhis tadantasya. We have studied these tadadi vidhi and tadanta vidhi. So generally we have tadanta vidhi, kintu yasmin vidhihi yatra saptami vibhaktau visheshanam asti al-grahane ekasya alaha grahanam yany iti ekam al. It's a single letter. So if a single letter is the visheshana in saptami vibhakti, tadadau, instead of tadanta we have tadadi. So yanyadau sarvadhatuke. Adantasya angasya, an anga ending in hrasvakara, yanyadau sarvadhatuke, a sarvadhatuka pratyaya beginning with yany, the letter yany. So tada kim bhavati? Tasya dirghaha, angasya dirghaha vidhiyate. Adantasya angasya dirghaha syat, yanyadau sarvadhatuke pare. Okay. So there is dirgha. Yany is these letters. Yavarala, Nyamanganana, Jhabhanya, till Jhabhany. So yete varnaha. So if we look at our pratyayas, these are the pratyayas of the four lakaras. Tatra yanyadi pratyayaha ke. Mi vaha maha. So makaraha yany, vakaraha api yany. Okay. So this E should not be colored here. So mi vaha maha, vahe and mahe here. So there is va, ma, vahi, mahi. Okay, so this E is not yanyadi. It's just colored by mistake. So these are the yanyadi sarvadhatuka. Sarve pratyayaha sarvadhatukaha, kintu yanyadi sarvadhatukaha ete eva. You can just check and see if there are others. There are no others. It's only these pratyayas which are yanyadi. So yanyadau sarvadhatuke pare adantasya angasya dirghaha vidhiyate. Tena kim bhavati? Patha mi. अस्ति पठ इति अदन्तम् अङ्गम् मी इति यञादि सार्वधातुकम् सो अङ्गस्य दीर्घः सो पठामि पठ मी becomes पठामि पठवः पठावः पठमः पठामः वन्दवहे वन्दावहे वन्दमहे वन्दामहे सो सर्वत्र एषु परेषु पठामि पठावः पठामः लोट् लकारे अपि क्षम्यतां लङ् लकारे अपि अपठाव अपठाम आत्मनेपदे वन्दावहे वन्दामहे अवन्दावहि अवन्दामहि सर्वेषु ययादि सार्वधातुक प्रत्ययेषु परेषु अतो दीर्घो यञि इत्यनेन दीर्घः भवति. So this is the single anga karya which applies if the anga is adanta. यदि ह्रस्वाकारान्तम् अङ्गम् तर्हि एतदेकमेव अङ्गकार्यं भवति. सन्धिकार्याणि तु गत सप्ताहे ततः पूर्वमेव अधीतानि. So there are some sandhi karyas which will happen. So now if you look at this, you have an anga. Okay, let's assume patha and a. Patha iti adantam angam. Tasya rupasiddhiः katham bhavati? So pathati pathati pathatah pathatah kimapi nasti. So anti, when you have patha anti ato gune ityanena pararupam bhavati. Aparantadakarat gune paratah hrasvakare pare अथवा ekare pare sarvatra ato gune ityanena pararupam bhavati. Okay, pathanti vanda ante vandante vanda e vande patha antu pathantu vanda antam vandantam apatha an apathan avanda anta avandanta. So whatever is marked in this purple is where we apply ato gune. So in all these cases there is pararupa, whichever the anga, as long as the anga is adanta, it is okay. So next, pathati pathatah patha anti ato gune pararupam pathanti pathasi pathatah pathatha. There is nothing, no karya, you just put the anga and the thing together, you get the form pathasi pathatah pathatha. So patha mi yayadau sarvadhatuke dirghah. So ato dirgho yani ityanena dirghe pathami pathavah pathamah. So wherever you have this yayadi sarvadhatuka, there is dirgha. As I said, this e is not yayadi, it's a mistake. I'll correct it. Okay. So coming to atmanepada, so there is or let us finish the parasmayapadas first because we have taken it up. So patha pathati pathatah pathanti pathasi pathatah pathata pathami pathavah pathamah. So in lot lakara pathatu pathatat. So there is nothing. Pathatu pathatat pathatam patha antu, again ato gune pathantu patha. So in madhyama purusha ekvachana there is no pratyaya, it is just patha pathatat pathatam pathata patha ani. So there is akasavarne dirghah. A plus a becomes a by savarna dirgha. Pathani pathava pathama. So in all these three pratyayas there is savarna dirgha, akasavarne dirghah, pathani pathava pathama. So coming to lang lakara, lang lakare lung lang lring shvadudattah ityanena angasya adagamah bhavati apatha iti angam. Apathat apathatam apathan ato gune apathaha. Okay, so the pratyaya there is a visarga sakara which becomes a visarga. It is sasajushoruhu and kharavasanayor visarjaniyah. So it becomes a visarga. Apathaha apathatam apathata apatha am. So amipurvaha. So we have again studied this in sandhi. Yatra iti pratyayah bhavati, tatra ami purvaha ityanena purvarupam. Apatha apatham. Va is yanyadi sarvadhatuka. So ato dirgho yani. Apathava apathama. Apathat apathatam apathan. Apathaha apathatam apathata. Apatham apathava apathama. Vidhiling lakare tu sarve pratyayah ikarad arabhyante. We start with e. So sarveshu a plus e is a. Ad gunaha ityanena gunaha sarvatra. Patha it becomes pathet. Patha itam pathetam. Pathet pathetam patheyuhu. Pathehe pathetam patheta. Patheyam patheva pathema. Over. That is all the forms for any dhatu. Right? You take the anganta form of any dhatu. I mean the vikarananta. You add the vikarana. Say there is bhava. So it's just this. You take naya. Any of the dhatus. Okay. So at least of your 1000, at least 980 dhatus will have the same thing. There are very, very few exceptions to this. So for all the dhatus, it is the same. There is nothing else involved in the border of the ting and the vikarana. Okay. So sarvani angani adantani, adantanam sarvesham anganam iyameva prakriya. Atmane pade pashyamaha, vanda dhatuhu, udaharanatam, vanda iti asti. You have vand and shap, it becomes vanda. Vandate. So vanda ite. Yatra yatra ikaraha, tatra ad gunaha ityanena gunaha. Vandete. Vandate, vandete. Vanda ante. Ato guna iti pararupam. So vandante. Vandase, vandethe. Guna, vandadhve. Vanda e. So again we have pararupa by ato gune. Vande. Vahe mahe iti. Ato dirgho yani. Vanda vahe, vanda mahe. Vandate, vandete, vandante. Vandase, vandethe, vandadhve. Vande, vandavahe, vandamahe. Vandatam, vandetam. Gunaha. Vandantam, pararupam. Vandasva, vandetham. Gunaha. Vandadhvam. Vandai. So when you have vanda and I, there is vruddhirechi. Okay. A plus I is I. Ato gune will not apply because I is not a guna letter. So vruddhirechi ityanena vruddhau vandai. Vanda avahai ityasti. Akasavarne dirghaha ityanena savarna dirghe vandavahai vandamahai. So please note, even though vandavahe and vandavahai seem same, the pratyaya is different. Okay. So here the akara is derived from ato dirgho yani. Here it is akasavarne dirghaha because the pratyaya itself is different. Here it is vahe, whereas here it is avahai. So punaha langlakare avanda iti angam, avandata, avandetam, avandanta, avandathaha, avandetham, avandadhvam, avande. This is also adgunaha. Okay, E should be marked in green. Avanda, E becomes avande. Avandavahi. Vahi mahi ityatra ato dirgho yani ityanena dirghe. Avandavahi, avandamahi. Punaha atmane pade vidhiling lakare sarve pratyayah ईकाराद् आरभ्यन्ते. Vanda, ita, adgunaha iti gune, vandeta. Vandeta, vandeyatam, vanderan, vandethaha, vandeyatham, vandedhvam, vandeya, vandevahi, vandemahi. So once you have the anga, yada adantam angam siddham, tada etavanti sutrani eva bhavanti sarvatra. Ato dirgho yani iti ekam angakaryam, anyani sarvani sandhikaryani. All those are the sandhis. You have guna, savarna dirgha, vriddhi, purvarupa and pararupa. Okay. Okay. So, kechana prashnaha. Yes. Yogesh Mahoday.
Namaste.
Namaste. Adat.
Tatra atmanepadi pratyaya tatra talikayam sa itam anta saha itam tvamanantaram I.
Satyam saha uktam saha
Avanda ityatra gunakaryam bhavati.
Tadeva maya uktam tat mama doshaha. It's oversight. It is green. It should be green. It is guna.
Okay, that was clear. Thank you.
Anantakrishna Mahoday. Mute asti. You should click on it to unmute yourself. I think you have muted yourself.
Namaste Mahoday. Very nice representation of the sandhis. Thank you. पूर्वस्मिन् स्लाइड् मध्ये मम प्रश्नः अस्ति तत्र स्पष्टीकर्तुं शक्यते वा इति विधि येन विधि तदन्तस्य अनन्तरम् अन्यत् सूत्रमस्ति किल
यस्मिन् विधिस्तदादौ
यस्मिन् विधि पुनः एकवारं वक्तुं शक्यते वा
So we have tadanta vidhi and tadadi vidhi. Prayena yatra samanadhikaranyam visheshanam visheshyam, where something is a visheshana for the other. Say ataha angasya, they both refer to the same thing. Samanadhikaranyam iti vadamaha. Yatra samanadhikaranyam tatra ekam visheshyam bhavati anyat visheshanam. So tatra sarvatra yena vidhistadantasya iti tadanta vidhihi pravartate. Yena vidhihi nama visheshanam tadantasya samnya syat. So ataha iti visheshanam angasya adantasya angasya. Atrapi tathaiva asti yanyi sarvadhatuke. Tatrapi tadanta vidhau yayante sarvadhatuke iti bhavet. Kintu tatha na bhavati. Tadadau yasmin vidhihi. When we are doing something in saptami vibhakti. Saptami vibhaktau yatra visheshanam tasmin pare ityarthaha. So obviously it is the first letter of that which follows which matters, not the last one. So al grahane, when the visheshana is a single al. Say yanyi iti ekam al, and it is in saptami vibhakti. Yatra visheshanam alam dyotayati saptami vibhaktau cha nirdishtam tatra tadadau tadante iti na bhavati kintu tadadau. So it qualifies the beginning of the particle and not the end. Ataha atra yanyadau sarvadhatuke, when followed by a sarvadhatuka which begins with a yang letter, not that which ends but that which begins with a yang letter. Any other questions? Okay, prashnaha na santi. So this is the angakarya at the thing. Okay. Ataha bhadigane sarvesham dhatunam iyameva prakriya atra. Now there is one more angakarya when followed by the vikarana. Right? Vikarane pare kim angakaryam bhavati iti prashnaha. Dhatuh asti vikaranam asti. Yatha path a tatra kimapi karyam nasti patha. एवं वदि इति धातुः वदि अभिवादनस्तुत्योः इकारः इति सम्यकः इदितो नुम् धातोः इत्यनेन नुमागमः वन्द् अस्ति वन्द् अ वन्द तत्रापि किमपि कार्यं नास्ति किन्तु यत्र भू अ इति अस्ति तत्र तु अङ्गकार्यं भवति as we know there is सार्वधातुक अर्धधातुकयोः which applies there to give a guna. इदानीं विकरणे परे शप् प्रत्यये परे धातोः किम् अङ्गकार्यं भवति इति द्रष्टव्यम्. That is all. That is the end of the Rupasiddhi of Bhadigana. That is all we know. First thing we know, we should know the vikarana. Okay. Once we know the vikarana, we should know what are the pratyayas. Ting pratyaye pare kim angakaryam, vikarane pare kim angakaryam. That is all. That is the most majority of the Tinantaprakriya that we will study henceforth. For each gana is that, which is the vikarane pare kim angakaryam bhavati, pratyaye pare kim angakaryam bhavati. Okay. So those are the major parts of the तिङन्तरूपसिद्धि इदानीं विकरणे परे भादिगणे शप् प्रत्यये परे किम् अङ्गकार्यं भवति इति द्रष्टव्यम् यत् ये धातवः इकारान्ताः okay as you know ikaranta is the first category she has ye dhatavah ikarantaah santi tesham kim karyam bhavati sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh ityanena gunah igantasya angasya sarvadhatuke ardhadhatuke va pare gunah vidhiyate idam igantam angam because it is now only the dhatu is iganta and the pratyaya is sarvadhatuka so therefore there is guna गुणः इकारस्य गुणः सर्वदा एकारः भवति ततः एकारस्य अकारे परे एचो अयवायावः इत्यनेन अयादेशः भवति so for all ikaranta dhatus there is guna by sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh followed by ayadesha echo ayavayavah so ji iti dhatuh ji a gune je a ekarasya ayadeshe jaya shvi shve shvaya क्षि क्षे क्षय स्मि स्मे स्मय श्री श्रे श्रय sarvatra so if you go and look at all the ikaranta dhatus which are in that category how many ever so it is all the same sarvatra gunah bhavati ayadeshah bhavati angam siddham so once you have this anga you just jayati jayatah jayanti jaya anti there is ato gune so we just go to that previous slide and the forms are ready. So etesham dhatunam chaturshulakareshu rupani siddhani. That is all. There is nothing else in the whole prakriya. So ikarantanam evam yadi dhatuhu ikarantah tadapi tadeva. Sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh ityanena gunaha ayadeshah. Vastutah bhadigane dvau eva dhatustah ikarantah. Ikarantau dvau eva dhatu. Ding धातु अस्ति डिंग विहाय सागतौ सो डी डे डय डयते डयेते डयन्ते डयसे डयेथे डयध्वे इत्यादि एवं नी प्रापणे सो नी ने नय अयम् उभयपदी सो नयति नयतः नयन्ति और नयते नयेते नयन्ते so that karya is common to all it's only we are looking at the anga karya for the vikarana so ikarantanam cha gunaha अयादेशः उकारान्ताः धातवः तत्रापि एतदेव सूत्रम् किन्तु अत्र गुणः ओकारः so the guna for ukara is okara so dhru dhro echo ayavayavah ityanena avadeshah okarasya avadeshah so it becomes dhrava su so sava u o ava plu plo plava ru ro rava so sarvesham ukarantanam gunaha gunanantaram avadeshah so the same two sutras okay so it becomes dhravati savati avati plavate or avate I'm not sure of the padas but it's the same ukarantanam api dhatunam samanam gunaha okarah tasya avadeshah trayah eva santi ukarantaah dhatavah भू भो भव भवति भवतः भवन्ति पू पो पव मू मो मव so ukarantanam च गुणः ओकारः तस्य अवादेशः okay so ऋकारान्ताश्च धातवः तेषां सार्वधातुकार्धधातुकयोः इत्यनेन गुणः so there is guna ऋकारस्य स्थाने आदेशः इत्यतः उरन् रपरः इत्यनेन रपरः भवति so the guna is akara which is followed by r so they get ar so hvr इत्यस्ति चेत् ह्वर ऋकारस्य स्थाने अर् इति भवति ह्वर अकारः शपः ह्वर so smr a smara so there is ऋकारस्य गुणः रपरः स्मरति so भृ a भर धृ a धर तृ a तर so ऋकारान्तानां च गुणः रपरः प्रवर्तते so स्मरति भरति धरति तरति इत्यादि रूपाणि एजन्ताः धातवः सन्ति तेषाम् एचोऽयवायावः इत्यनेन साक्षात् अयादेशः. Okay, so they already have the ekara or aikara, so you just do an ayadesha with them. So dhe dhet pane iti dhatuh, dhe dhaya, dhyai dhyaya, aikarasya ay, ekarasya ay, gai gaya, gayati, dhyayati, de daya, dayate, ve vayati. Ejantaha. So there is no okaranta dhatu or aukaranta. In ejantas we just have a and I. Ekarasya ayadeshaha, aikarasya ayadeshaha. So echoyavayavaha. Direct sandhi. There is no angakarya. So if igantasya angasya sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh ityanena gunaha, ejantasya angasya echoyavayavaha ityanena ayadi sandhihi. So that is all about the ajantas. Halanteshu, remember you should always have the har classification in mind. Katham dhatunam vibhagaha kritaha iti. Okay. So there is, look at it, ikarantaha santi, tataha ikarantaha, tataha ukarantaha, ukarantaha, rikarantaha, so rikarantaha. Eka eva dhatuh, ejantaha. Okay. So these are all the ajanta dhatus. Ajanteshu dhatushu sapta ganaha santi. Tatra I, U, R, R. Etadantayanam dhatunam sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh ityanena gunaha bhavati. Ejantanam tu sakshad ayadi sandhihi. So next we start with the halantas. Halanteshu dhatushu upadhayaha swaradharena vibhagaha. Because the hal is not directly affected, it is the swara behind the hal which can be affected. So tatra kim bhavati? Yadi idupadhaha, it nama hrasva ikaraha, yeshu dhatushu upadhayam hrasvaha ikaraha asti, tatra puganta laghupadhasya cha ityanena gunaha bhavati. Okay. So there is only guna, no ayadesha, because the following letter will not be an ach. Okay. So chit becomes cheta, chetati, sidh sedh sedhati, kit keta, nid ned, tvish tvesha. Hrasva ikaraha yatra upadhayam asti, tatra pugantalaghupadhasya cha ityanena gunaha. Udupadhaha. So again, if there is hrasva ukara and in the upadha, tatra kim bhavati? Tatrapi puganta laghupadhasya cha ityanena gunaha bhavati. Mud comes moda, budh bodha, sput spota, shuch shocha, ghush ghosha. Modate bodhati, spotati, shochati, ghoshati. So adding the pratyaya is the same. Tatra tu vishishtam kimapi karyam nasti. So idupadhanam, udupadhanam, tatha ridupadhanam. Rasva rikaraha upadhayam asti chedapi. Puganta laghupadhasya iti gunaha. Uran raparaha ityanena raparaha bhavati. So grij becomes garj. Rikarasya sthane ar. Garj. Ghrish becomes gharsh. Brih barh, krish, karsh, vrit, vart, vartate, karshati, barhati, gharshati, garjati. So, I, U, R, hrasvaha, ikaraha, ukaraha, rikaro va, yadi upadhayam asti, tarhi puganta laghupadhasya cha ityanena gunaha. Okay. So that is all. There is nothing else. We have covered all the dhatus. For the remaining dhatus, those which were not listed here, nothing. If it is adupadha, patha patha, kimapi na bhavati. Okay. Anyesham dhatunam, kimapi angakaryam api nasti, sandhikaryam api nasti, iti artha. Okay. So we'll just recap that again. So vikarane pare angakaryam, athava sandhikaryam. Ajantaha dhatavaha. So yadi ikarantaha athava ikarantaha, tarhi sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoh ityanena gunaha, echoyavayavaha ityanena ayadeshaha. उकारान्तानाम् उकारान्तानां च सार्वधातुक अर्धधातुकयोः इत्यनेन गुणः अवादेशः सूत्रं समानं किन्तु अत्र ओकारः अतः अवादेशः ऋकारान्तानां ऋकारान्तानां गुणः रपरः उरन् रपरः इत्यनेन रपरः एजन्तानां तु साक्षात् अयादेशः अथवा आयादेशः दट् इस् आल् हलन्तेषु इदुपधानाम् उदुपधानां गुणः ऋदुपधानां रपरः गुणः for all the other dhatus which belong to any other category which do not belong to these categories. So there are say adupadhah. Yadi hrasvah akarah upadhayam asti tarhi kimapi na bhavati. Patha a patha and so on. I mean there are many dhatus which belong. Vad a vada. So, ik purva repho padhah. This is our upadhayam cha. You have kurd upadhayam cha ityanena dirghe kurd a. So tatra kimapi nasti kurdate ityeva rupam. Izadihi guruman iti kechana dhatavah santi. So this category is not useful for these lakaras. Lit lakare tesha tasya upayogah. So for those dhatus is nothing. However is the dhatu. Say edh dhatu asti. So edha ityeva kimapi karyam na bhavati. Idit iditam dhatunam numagamah bhavati. Vadi ityasya vand. वंद अ वंद किमपि कार्यं नास्ति अनिदित् इति केचन धातवः यथा मंथ इति धातुः अस्ति मंथ अ मंथ अन्यत् किमपि कार्यं नास्ति शेषः those which do not belong to any of these the miscellaneous तत्रापि किमपि कार्यं न भवति. Okay. So with these we have done more than 1000 dhatus of Bhadigana. There is nothing special about them. You take say we will do this first. So you have the ikarantas. So G, J, Jaya. Shvi, Shve, Shvaya. So it becomes Jayati, Shvayati, punaha. G iti dhatu dvayam asti. Jayati, Jrayati, Kshi, Kshayate. Kshe kshayate, shmi smayate, shri shrayati or shrayate. Okay. So this is not ikaranta. So there is a slight mistake. So this is ukaranta. Forget it. So I iti dhatuh. Kevalaha I iti yadi dhatuh. Tarhi ayati iti rupam. So for all ikarantas it is the same. Evam, just take any set. Say idupadhaha iti dhatuh. So for all these things, pugantalaghupadhasya cha ityanena upadhayaha gunaha. Chid chetati, shidh sedhati, ikh ekhati, kit ketati, khit khetati. All you have to know is which pada. So if you know the pada, you can easily tell the forms. Okay. So we have covered most of the dhatus. The only dhatus which we have not covered is the vikari dhatu. Okay. So there are some dhatus here which are listed as the vikari dhatu. Okay. There are around 50 of these dhatus. So for these dhatus there is something special in the prakriya. Okay. So other than these around 50 dhatus, okay, we have covered all the dhatus which belong to the Bhadigana. Sarvesham dhatunam sarveshu lakar sarvadhatuka lakareshu rupani siddhani. There is nothing else other than these. So there are also some dhatus which are called, which actually belong to some other gana. Okay. If you look at something like okay. So you can see that there is something called the Anya Ganasya Dhatuhu. Satraiva. So this is not given as a thing by her, but I have added this. So there are some dhatus which originally belong to some other gana. Okay, say Madi, Shama. These are all originally Divadigana dhatus. Okay. So they have been included in the Bhadigana for a specific karya. Say Ghatadi is an Antargana. So they need to have that karya of that ghatadi, and therefore they have been included in this gana. So as you can see, it says vastutaha daivadikaha. It originally belongs to the divadi gana. So here also you have ndru. It originally belongs to the kriyadi gana. Okay. So those dhatus which do not belong originally to the bhadi gana will not be dealt with here. So ye anya ganasya dhatavaha tesham atra rupa siddhihi na bhavati. Ye vikarinaha dhatavaha, those which have something special, around 50 dhatus, those we will study in the next class. Other than those, whichever dhatu belongs to the bhadigana is a regular dhatu, it is the same prakriya. Vikarane pare kinchid angakaryam bhavati. Mukhyataha gunaha. Yadi igantaha athava hrasva igupadhaha tarhi gunaha bhavati. So anyat kimapi angakaryam nasti bhadigane. Ting paretu ato dirgho yanyi iti ekameva angakaryam kanichana sandhikaryani. Okay, once you get these vikarananta form, you just have to go to these. Etaihi sutraihi rupa siddhihi bhavati. So what we have not learnt is only how to derive these pratyayas for the different lakaras and what happens in case of those special dhatus. So the special dhatus are very less in number, but we have to study them specially always because they are something specific. Okay. So any questions? Okay. So what about ekara dhatu? You mean the ekaranta dhatus? The ekaranta dhatus get the ayadesha. You have it the becomes dhaya. Echoyavayavaha ityanena ayadesha. One more question. When I use the term idupadhaha, is upadhaha the plural of upadha? No, it is a bahuvrihi. So it upadha yasya saha idupadhaha. So it is a visheshana to a dhatu. Dhatoha visheshanatva tatra pumstvam bahuvrihi samase hrasvaha gostriyo rupasarjanasya ityanena hrasvaha idupadha ityasti. Idupadhaha dhatuhu visheshanam. Dhatohu visheshanam. Ekavachane eva. Any other questions? No? Okay, so today's exercise is not anything writing. As I said, please complete the exercise of the last class. For today, just go through this chart orally and just as I said, just practice getting the form so that you look at the dhatu and you know the form. Okay. You can look at these dhatu vibhaga initially, but just look at the dhatu and try to guess what is the form. It comes very naturally. Ji, Jaya, so Kshi, Kshaya, Smi, Smaya, Shri, Shraya. If you go by her order, the forms are very, very easy. And once you do it once, you will remember it for always. So Bhu, Bhava, Pu, Pava, Mu, Mava, Vru, Hvara, Dhvru, Dhvara, Gru, Dhara, Gru, Gara. There is nothing. Almost automatically the forms stand before you. It's okay, so there's a question. If there is a
are you going to upload this Excel?
Oh yes.
Sheet?
Yeah, certainly. I'll upload this sheet. It is for, it has only, as of now it has only Bhadigana Dhatus. I have not done this sheet again for the others, but yes, I'll upload this. Okay. So the PDF, yes. The PDF with Swara markings is also there. It is there in the first unit. It should be there. The useful documents of the course. So this will also be there. It will be in the current lesson and also there. So you can get it from there. There's a question, if there is some karya on ekara, then the same is on okara. Yeah, generally those go together. If there is something for ikara, the corresponding is for ukara. If there is something for a, it is o. So it is usually correct. Okay. So please, the main part in the whole class is to understand and appreciate these vibhaga of the dhatus. That is the key to actually understand it. I don't know how many of you are able to appreciate it now. When I studied her thing, as I said, I went to a workshop. She conducted a workshop for Tinantaprakriya in our class when I was doing my post-graduation in Vyakarana. It was MA. I had studied Vyakarana for quite some time by then. I had spent 1.5 years on studying only the Bhadigana. Okay, we used to have daily classes. As in 5 days a week we used to have classes. We spent 1.5 years on studying Bhadigana completely. From the beginning to the end without skipping a single dhatu. All forms, all the lakaras as per the Kaumudi. That is how I studied it. We stopped after Bhadigana because of some other reasons, and I was with the feeling that I don't know what is Tinantaprakriya. I was not very sure about anything in Tinantaprakriya. So there was this workshop on Tinantaprakriya which said 15 days. I actually laughed at the idea of, something we have spent so long to study and we still have not mastered it. What can we do in 15 days? And she comes for the workshop. In 15 minutes, Bhadigana is over. And we knew, whatever we have done in the first 19 classes, we already knew. Because most of us have studied Vyakarana to some level. So we didn't need to do all those in detail. So in 15 minutes, the Sarvadhatu Kalakaras of Bhadigana and also of Divadi, Tudadi and Churadi are over. We were like, wow, there is no other word to Even today I remember the excitement it created for Ashtadhyayi, and it was a wholly eye-opener to know that something should be studied in this way. Studying it dhatu by dhatu and going on it is not how Panini intended it. Please, that is why he created these. The mind needs these mental classifications to remember something. It is impossible to go to each dhatu individually and remember it. That is if any of you studied the Mahabhashya right at the beginning, he discusses what is the format of Vyakarana. He says, Kinchid utsargataha lakshanam pravartyam, kinchid visheshataha. Utsarga apavada. That is at the heart of Vyakarana. You need to study it in that way. What is general, what is specific. So as we studied, all this is general. So there is something specific for some 50 dhatus. You do those separately. Anyway, you have to do them separately and over. It makes no sense in studying them individually. And I realized it only after I had done all that. That is when that change was so emphatic. It's staged, and when you have spent such a long time studying something, there was, of course, I agree it was not the whole. There is still the Ardhadhatu Kalakaras left. But still, the sense was, if I had spent that same 1.5 years, probably I would not have required that much. Say 6 months in studying in this Krama, would have been much, much better and much surer in Prakriya than studying the dhatus individually. It is not against any particular grantha or anything. It's just, understanding. That is when I actually understood what the Ashtadhyayi was or what it stands for. It is an unfortunate thing that Ashtadhyayi is relegated to, it's in my, whatever I have studied according to the syllabus, I have never studied the Ashtadhyayi at all. It was never part of a syllabus, or I fortunately had teachers who, keep telling me to study the Ashtadhyayi, which I didn't take very seriously probably because it was not there for syllabus, obviously, and you say, okay, it's there. So just study what is there. But the actual power of the Ashtadhyayi for Prakriya, you understand only when you come to such huge things. So there is, that there is 1,000 dhatus. It has nothing. There is some, just some 6 or 7 sutras, and you will be able to tell the forms, know the forms of all of them. So that is what Ashtadhyayi is meant for. That, that organization. We already have that organization which is given. Okay. But if we don't exploit it, it will be to our, misery with Tingantas. Because Tinantaprakriya is definitely one of the most complicated things in Prakriya, because there is so much of variety. That is, Tingantas, the dhatus and their forms which give variety to the Vangmaya of Sanskrit, because most of the words are finally derived from dhatus. But it is not all arbitrary. There is such a great system to derive it, and it's important to appreciate the genius of Pani. So okay, we'll stop today here. So I'll share these files. Just practice, just go through these and keep practicing, so it becomes, Bhadi becomes very easy. Okay. So there are few other ganas which also end with this akara. So wherever we have that rasva akara, the prakriya is quite easy. Okay. So those who have studied this for the first time, maybe it still seems a bit too much, but I assure you, if you go through it, if you put in some work now, the rest of the prakriya will become more and more easy and more exciting. Prakriya is always exciting. It's like, maths, you go through something and you hit at the solution and it gives this one. Yena akshara samamnayam adhigamya maheshwarat kritsnam vyakaranam proktam tasmai paninaye namaha. Vakyakaram vararuchim bhashyakaram patanjalim paninim sutrakaram cha pranatosmi munitrayam. Okay. Yeah, this week I will upload the file sooner. Okay. By Monday or Tuesday I'll definitely do it. Sorry. Thank you.